Garrick Wordmuller here, Digital 411, talking about what I consider the biggest scam I have seen in the mortgage industry, like ever, I feel like. So on August 11th, Mark Calabria and the FHFA announced that in September, they're taxing refinances 50 basis points, which is like a half a point cost. So if you have a $100,000 loan, your loan's $500 more expensive that day moving forward, because of this adverse market tax on refinances starting on September 1st. So we had no room to prepare for this. There's really not much reason for it because there is no adverse market. We have the biggest refinance boom in history that will ever be in history, probably. And then we also have multiple offers on houses. I mean, there's no inventory. Housing prices are strong and going up. I will say it doesn't make a lot of sense to me outside of the fact I think there's probably a looming foreclosure crisis coming with, in the rental sector for sure, because so many landlords aren't getting rent and they're still having to fork over all these bills. And I know I've talked to real estate attorneys and this is something that's coming. But then more recently, they do this price hike. And then on August 25th, they announce, oh, wait, no, we're not doing it September 1st. As all of us, I'm an independent broker, pretty much a one-man shop. And, we're scrambling to lock our clients before a 50 basis point hike because that's a difficult conversation for no reason. So then on the 25th, though, they announced that on December 1st now is when this hike is going to happen. Not the first, and it makes him look like a hero now, whereas everyone would be complaining no matter what if they just initially announced on December 1st there's going to be a 50 basis point rate hike, for no reason outside of the fact that it's very busy as far as I can tell. Now, I'm here with Raul Bada with Finance of America, who's a very smart lad. Raul, what do you think about all this?
It was interesting to interact with this whole market charge. What's really important to remember here is that while it was started as of September 1st, it was effectively retroactive for entire pipelines locked as far back as June based on how mortgage lenders package loans and deliver them into the marketplace, right? So there's some companies, they might have locked a loan for 60 days in June, and it didn't close until August, and they don't deliver it until after September 1st. Well, they were on the hook for a half a point in fee. To your point, $100,000, $500, Bay Area, California, $500,000, $2,500, right? You're talking tens of hundreds of millions of dollars aggregate across the business. Some companies on the hook, there are some companies that was a $10 million check they were looking to cut. There was other companies it was 20 times, so $200 million that they were going to have to cough up. And in between. So, FIFA going to pick up, someone did the math out there and it came out to right around $5 billion was a rough number based on the origination volume, et cetera, number of loan locks, percentage of refinance and all that different stuff. So it was about a $5 billion collection charge, a toll charge, if you will, for the mortgage industry that was unaccounted for. And so the equity strip, as many referred to it, is a $5 billion equity strip, right? Because you're one way or the other, you're charging a higher interest rate to the consumer, or the consumer's coming out of pocket to cover the charge.
Right.
Or, mortgage companies are putting it into their rate sheet at some point or another as a direct pass through. It was an equity strip, one way or however you want to look at it. And so this is all part of the plan. That's why they're not ever taking it away. That's why it's just being implemented on December the 1st. Now there's going to be some planning. We'll see it implemented on rate sheets come, I'd guess, 45-day locks as of October 15th, right? Potentially as early as October the 1st. So we get a 30-day reprieve. We can plan better from a pricing standpoint, how we talk to our consumers. When do we lock the loan? What's it going to cost? Things of that nature. Ultimately, interest rates are overcharged at the moment as it is because loan volume is such that companies can't handle it. No one company can handle the incoming loan volume. So rate sheets are marked up so that loan volume slows down, even though it's at 3 and 4 times normal annual amounts, right?
Right.
So regardless, consumers are already paying a markup for their interest rate, in spite of, Garrick, you can offer a 15-year fixed at 199, right? You can offer a 30-year fixed at, I think it's 2.5, right? So in spite of that, it's crazy to think that, that's a marked up interest rate, but that's truly the case. So a lot of difficult elements at play. The biggest thing to remember is Mark Calabria's ultimate goal for Fannie Mae, right, is he wants to get Fannie and Freddie out from underneath the government's purview. He wants them out from conservatorship. And the starting point for that is balance sheets. And they were restricted under statute to carrying no more than $3 billion. They didn't want them to be large enough to be independent. So they restricted them to having no more than $3 billion on their balance sheet. Well, the reality was if they'd have retained all their earnings over all these years, even after paying back the TARP payout that they got, which they've done now nearly twofold, if they'd have been able to retain those earnings over time, they'd be at a much higher amount, and it'd be easier to get them out from underneath the government's conservatorship. So how do we do that? The first step is to get them to $20 billion. There's different arguments as to how to do that. Calabria is capitalizing on an opportunity around the market, right? He sees rates are low, volume at sustained levels, and is thinking to himself, well, I can just grab 50 basis points. All these companies are making exponential returns. They're making more profit than they've made in many years. They'll be happy, they won't be happy, but they'll be more readily able to deliver 50 basis points to me if I put it into the rate sheet. So
right. It's kind of just like we had a bad day in the market, right? If you look at it like,
yeah.
I mean, exactly. It's worse than that, but I mean, as far as the rate sheet's concerned,
it's significantly worse.
Yeah.
Correct. It's still an equity strip. It's significantly worse. He's taking a shortcut path. The biggest problem with an adverse market charge is that, and we have to remember, FIFA has been in charge of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac since they've gone into conservatorship, right? 2008. They took TARP, they went into conservatorship. And one of the things that happened along the way is the government got involved with how loans are priced to the American people. That was a 10 basis point add to rate, right? It was a 10 basis point loan level price adjuster at the time, but it was a rate, it was an add to what's called the G fee. So it ended up being an add to the interest rate. So 10 basis points on rate is actually much more in fee than just 0.1. Right. And that has not gone away. That was added I want to say it was the fourth quarter 2010, right? For 1/4 of 1 year's unemployment tax extension, right? We were running like unemployment fund was running low. And that has not been taken out. We're 10 years on and it's not been removed. So what's to say that the 50 basis points doesn't just stay there forever? And that's the biggest part of the problem is they didn't put a sunset on it. They've just thrown it at the mortgage industry, to independent mortgage banks and mortgage bankers specifically, and said, here, you guys deal with it. Don't care how you do it. Also, no telling if we'll ever take it off. Legislatively, the last one that was put in was never removed. So that's a significant problem. Consumers need to be aware, and the real estate industry needs to be aware. When you raise the cost of financing, you raise the cost of housing, right? You drive prices down in housing potentially. So you want to be really cognizant of that. You want to be very aware of that, and you want to make sure that FIFA specifically has the consumer's best interest at heart, not just their own. And that's difficult. That's a difficult task at the moment.
Right. Well, cool. Very informative, Raul. Thank you so much for shining some light on what's going on, and definitely appreciate you. He has great products that we take advantage of with reverse mortgage, jumbo financing, a lot of conventional stuff. So any questions on any of those, talk to me, and we'll be working with you soon, sir. I really appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Gary.
All right.